Well, welcome to another episode of the Metal Queens podcast. I'm Steve Richards. This is the podcast where we celebrate the fierce and fearless women shaping the world of heavy music. And today we are venturing deep into the cosmic void with Haley Clark, guitarist for NinjaWitch. They are based in Knoxville, Tennessee. Space Doom powerhouse who just dropped their mind-bending new EP back in September, Frequency of Gods. We'll talk about that. Forged from distortion, doom, and interstellar groove, NinjaWitch has been making waves in the underground scene. Recently featured in Decibel magazine, too. I'm happy to have Haley Clark join me here on the Metal Queens podcast. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
So let's start at the beginning. You have been in the band only for a little over a year. The band's about 3 years old now. How did you find your way into this band, and what's the story behind the name?
Sure. So, kind of a funny story. I found my way into the band. Previously, I was in a band called Summoner Circle, and I stepped down from that band. The lead guitarist for that band was Herb Himes, who is also the lead guitarist for NinjaWitch. So, needless to say, we've been playing music together for, going on 5 years or so at least.
Mm.
Um, and so, when I stepped down from Summoners, I just had a lot going on in life. And so I was, venturing out and doing some other stuff. Um, we stayed in contact and we still get together and jam. And then, Ninja Witch started forming and I was like, yeah, cool. So I'd turn out to shows. I was really digging it. I'm a huge Doom fan at heart. So, I was really digging it. And there was one day that Herb came up to my house and we were just, we were hanging out. We were jamming some stuff on guitar. And he gets a phone call. And so he says, excuse me for a second, let me step out. And so he ends up stepping out, comes back in a few minutes later, takes this phone call. And he says, so our guitarist for Ninja Witch just stepped down. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. I hate to hear that. And he's like, well, hell, you want to join Ninja Witch? So it was just pretty straightforward, honestly. And it was kind of a package deal because they had just lost their drummer 3 days prior. The drummer had stepped down. And then, 3 days later, he gets the call, their rhythm guitarist is stepping down. Well, my husband is a drummer. So, here we are jamming. He's just like, hell, do you guys want to join Ninja Witch since I've got you here? At first we were kind of like, man, because I mean, my background story, like I said, I played with Summoner Circle, so I've been used to playing, black metal and really heavy stuff. So to step back and play some cosmic doom, I was like, you know what? That could be fun. So yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. So yeah, that's how we got there. But
Yeah.
um, we were very well acquainted beforehand, so.
Now, I know the band started about 3 years ago. So the name of the band, where did that come from?
So, like I said, there are some ties between Ninja Wish and the band Summoner Circle, which is a theatric black metal band based out of Knoxville. We actually share two of the members with them. So, the guitarist Herb Himes, he is a current guitarist for Summoner Circle, as well as our bassist John. He doubles in both bands as well. So, this was actually stemming from a way back before Ninja Witch was thought of. Summoner Circle was on tour, and there was this damn pizza box that made its way back home to the basement to the rehearsal space. And John was so pressed to keep it, and he was just like, "Oh no, man, it's cool. I put these doodles on it. Like I drew all this cool shit. Let's hang it up, in the band room. That'll be cool." So here's this pizza box hanging up on the wall, and so it's been there ever since. And whenever Ninja Witch was still kind of developing, of course, I wasn't there. I'm not an original member. But at the time, it was Leo Dyer, who is the drummer for Sun Mantra and also a former guitarist for Summoner Circle. So we've kind of got this inner circle going on, of friends and stuff. We call it polygamorous because we keep, we play in the same bands together and we just swap out. But yeah, so they were talking about this pizza box on the wall and they're looking at the drawing. It's like, man, what the hell is this supposed to be? It looks like a witch or like a ninja. Like, what's going on? And Leo says, oh man, Ninja Witch, that'd be a cool name for a band. So there it was, just born right in the room. It is the stupidest story, but that's honest
That's
truth.
it. And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. Yeah. So every time we see it, it's still hanging up on the wall. So, every week when we rehearse, it's just there's the reminder. There's our Ninja Witch. We've yet to incorporate it in any logos. I don't think we will, but it's, there it is.
What is the metal scene like in Knoxville?
A lot of good bands, nowhere to play,
Mm,
honestly. We've lost several venues since COVID.
yeah.
Um, we lose a new one every year. So, and we're not really gaining any. So we're trying to kind of branch out and, to venues that haven't historically hosted metal shows and just say, hey, we'll be on our best behavior.
Mm.
Let us try to do this. And they end up making killer money. So then, we come back. And so it's just been kind of this, dipping our toes into different relationships with different venues and trying to establish something a little more solid. But honestly, no, so many excellent bands in Knoxville and just nowhere to play. So we're all just having to kind of branch out a little bit. But yeah, it's sad, but that's what it is.
Yeah. When did you first pick up the guitar? How old were you?
Mm, honest to God, I didn't pick it up until I was 13. I didn't get serious about it until I was about 16 or 17. So,
And
yeah.
what made you get serious about it?
Um, well, Ronnie James Dio. It's kind of it sounds funny when I say it. But I was the weird kid growing up. I was introduced to metal. Ronnie James Dio was my introduction to metal
Nice.
when I was 9 years old. And my mom had a friend who had the very Beast of Dio CD. And he was playing it in the car. We're in the car, and Holy Diver came on, and I was just like, what the hell is this? It just took me, because it's got that long, kind of creepy intro. And it just took me back, and I was like, what the hell is this? So I convinced him, by the end of the car ride, I was like, you have to let me have this CD because I need to listen to this. I need to know what else is on this. Um, so honest to God, yeah, at 9 years old, I was inviting all my friends over and I was like, I've got to show you something. And, they would come in and I would play this shit and they would leave. They were terrified. But I was like, no, this is cool. You guys just don't understand. So, I'd have my own one-man show in my bedroom as a 9, 10-year-old kid. Um, so yeah, Dio was a huge inspiration, just getting into metal. And of course, anybody who's ever played with Ozzy Osbourne, is an inspiration for me, guitar wise.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know, hard to beat.
Yeah, that is. Do you remember your first concert experience?
My first real concert was the Big Four. Well, I say it was the Big Three-Fourths because Metallica was stuck in Australia. But I saw Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax at
Oh,
the
yeah.
Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville. That was
Oh,
my
yeah.
first real show.
Very nice.
Yeah. I almost got killed in Slayer because I was at the very front of the line. And of course, once they come out, the entire crowd just pushes against that barrier. So
Yep.
I was getting crushed. And heck, how old was I at the time? I think I was like 14. And it's the first show I'd ever been to by myself, especially, with just my friends. And I remember I'm tiny. I'm only about 5'1" and about 105 pounds, so I'm kind of a small person. But I was getting crushed against this barrier
Yeah.
or this barricade, And I remember the security guard grabbing me by my arm and pulling me over the fence. And he plopped me down on the other side in front of Kerry King. So here I was, 14 years old, and was just like, okay, cool. So we're here now. But yeah,
Oh, that's great. All
yeah,
right, let's talk about the new EP that came out in September, Frequency of Gods. Can you
sure.
talk a little bit about what inspired this record and how it evolved from Order of the Red Horse?
Um, we have been since I've been in the band, especially, and I know even before then, Sabbath has taken very deep roots on us. Monster Magnet, we are all
Mm,
big Monster Magnet fans, so definitely a lot of influence there. Um, the way that this EP was recorded, though, and the way that Ninja Witch writes is that we are very organic. So when we write, we jam band together. So we get in the same room and everybody just starts playing and bringing their ideas. And so that's how this just kind of develops. So when we went to the studio to record it, it was the exact same situation. We didn't track in anything. Everything was recorded live together. So yeah, we just kind of fill things out. But yeah, no, Monster Magnet, a lot of early Sabbath has been a very big influence. Um, yeah, really, that's that's
Yeah.
about it.
The band's sound has been described as cosmic space doom. For those unfamiliar with that, Haley, what does that mean to you musically and emotionally?
For Cosmic Space Doom, our frontman does acid, so no, but in all seriousness, there are a lot of elements going on to fill out what feels like a spiritual experience to us, honestly, because like I said, when we write, it's very organic. Everybody just kind of comes in and we just, we fill it out. It's a spiritual experience for us. We get the cosmic, aspect, I guess, from a lot of the lyrical content. Um, it focuses on aspects of God and, existentialism and, things like that. Um, just the void, you know, and I think it's a lot of the lyrical content that adds to that. Our frontman Nate, he's kind of got this shamanic type vibe that he's just
Yeah.
very, the whole time he's singing, when we play live, he's out here with his hands just like conjuring and moving people in. I mean, we're burning sage before shows and stuff like that. Just to set the mood for people because we want you to come in and I want you to get lost. Like I want you to vibe with me and just feel what we're doing. And then, our bassist John, he also does some synth on top of the bass stuff. So he's kind of multitasking that. And so we're getting all this, this ambience and these effects and stuff. And it's just I want to bring people into my world. Like when I get out there, when we start playing, there's this circle and I want to just pull you into it and just
And to
say,
get lost in the music.
I want you to get lost in it. I want you to feel
Yeah.
what I'm feeling for a minute.
Yeah.
Um, when we played at Metal Devastation, we played
Hmm.
Tennessee Metal Devastation last month.
Hmm.
Um, there was a man there who'd actually been interviewed, and they were like, "Hey, so when was the moment that the portal opened up for you today?" Because that's kind of the running thing with Metal Devastation is opening up the portal to hell. And he said, honestly, he said when NinjaWitch played, he said I had not had a drop to drink or anything to smoke. And he said the minute that they started playing, he said I felt like I was just high. He said it just pulled me in. And he said, and everything
Hmm.
else just disappeared. I was right there with him. So, and that's what we want. I want you to feel what I'm feeling. I want to just vibe together. So we're here to have a good time.
Yeah. The riffs on Frequency of Gods are enormous, hypnotic, heavy,
Thank you.
otherworldly. Can you walk us through your guitar tone and recording process on this release?
Um, so guitar tone, if it helps for anything, I play through a Kemper Profiler. That's kind of my setup I've got going on. A lot of um on the clean tones, I liked a lot of kind of crystal sounds and stuff like that. That's going to kind of resonate. Um, on my heavier, like distorted tones and stuff, I like something with a little bit of ass in it, for lack of a better term. I always say just put more ass in it.
More ass.
Yeah, I should have been a bassist, honestly. But I picked up guitar, but no, I like a little bit of ass in it. So I want to hit you with those pretty, like in the intro, the opening track on the EP.
Yeah.
I'm not the lead guitarist, but those were my lead melodies in that just because, Herb had started with just kind of that little pull off riff. And I was like, I'm feeling something here. So I wanted something that was just, I wanted something pretty. I wanted something that was pretty, and then when it got heavy, I wanted to put some ass into it. And that's just I'm a woman of variety. So, I wanted to have the best of both worlds there. But yeah, sorry if that answers your question.
Let's talk about the track Star Ghost. It has this dark, real cinematic vibe to it, almost like a ritual in space. What's the story behind that song?
What's the story behind Star Ghost? It started with the opening riff. I had written that. I was sitting in my house. It was storming outside. I was playing guitar, and that's kind of how I just came up with that. It was moody. I felt moody that day, so I was like, I want something like that. But I remember just looking out the window and just watching the storm as I just kept playing it over and over and over. And I was like, okay, I need to take this to the guys. Let's see what happens. So, we took it in, and I started playing it when we were rehearsing one night. And I remember everybody else was kind of trying to pick in and, drop in a few things. And within a couple of minutes of just kind of running this one riff, it was developing pretty quickly. And our frontman, Nate, he's otherworldly when it comes to writing stuff because he stood there for a minute and he just listened and he listened to it. And then he nodded his head and he said, all right, I'll be right back. And he stepped outside and then he came back in and he said, all right, let's do this. And he laid down the lyrics to it. Just came back in. He listened to it. He thought about it. He felt it. And he came in and just in one run laid down the lyrics for
Wow.
Stardust. And
That's
so,
so
yeah,
cool.
it was like, what the hell,
Oh,
man?
yeah.
But
That's cool.
yeah, so.
NinjaWitch's imagery and themes lean heavily into mysticism and cosmic mythology. Where do you personally draw inspiration? Books, films, the stars, or just your own inner cosmos?
I would say very much so for my own inner cosmos. As far as like my stage presence, I always wear something. I do feel a bit influenced by Stevie Nicks, which I feel like every
Mm.
woman has been for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Gotta
But
love
I see her.
Stevie.
I love Stevie. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But she's an icon. She's an absolute icon. And when you see her, she doesn't have to um she doesn't have to try too hard. She comes out there, she's, honest, just unapologetically herself. Um, I wanted to feel the essence of, being, an ethereal being. So a lot of my stage presence is a lot of long black flowy dresses and lots of shimmery, sparkly stars and stuff like that. So, I just want to be that embodiment of that essence of something that is just free moving, totally unrestrained. So it's very free spirited. But that does very much come from just who I am. So
What's
yeah.
the best thing about performing live with this band?
Honestly, I don't have to put a lot of thought into what I'm doing.
Mm.
I get to get up there. Like I said, the band that I played in previously was a black metal band. So I was playing very fast and very heavy the whole time. So it was just straight riffing,
Balls
most
to
of
the
the
wall.
time. Balls to the wall, dude. My metaphorical balls to the wall the entire time. Um, but and you're really focused on the quality of what you're playing so much so that it feels a little stiff. Um, with NinjaWitch, I very much write things that I can move to. So when I get up there, I play and I'm dancing the whole time. And then there's parts where I'm headbanging because it gets heavy. So I get the best of both worlds with it. It's awesome. But I just feel like being up there with them, we always get really emotional because we're a bunch of nerds. We're just super cheesy. And so it's like, hey, I love you. I'm proud of you. Let's go do this shit, dude. And so we get up
Mm.
there and we just say, all right, let's have fun. And so everybody gets into their element. We just group and we have fun just like we do when we rehearse. So I don't have to put a lot of thought into what I do. I just get up there and do it. And
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part for sure.
If you could jam with any guitarist from history, dead or alive, who's stepping into that void with you?
Oh God. Oh, that's not fair. Just one.
You could do two.
Ah, shit. That's hard. Um, the first one that came, I say the first that comes to mind is if I could play with anybody in the world, I would play with my guitarist Herb Himes. He's
Mm.
been my absolute influence in every way, shape, and form. He definitely, started as a mentor for me, and then, we've developed a very strong friendship and bandmateship since then. But he's always my number one. Honestly, he's my idol. But if I had to pick another guitarist, I don't know, man. I'm a huge Randy Rhoads fan.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Tony Iommi fan. Like I said, anybody that Ozzy Osbourne's ever played with is great in my book. I love Zach Wild. Um, but I also think of like Ola Frenning from Soilwork. I
Mm.
love that it's just super melodic, different. I've never heard anybody that sounds like him. So I would love to just pick his brain, honestly, and just say, dude, where are you getting your influence from? Because that's what I want to know.
You're the
Um,
second person I've interviewed this week that mentioned Zach Wild, and I'm excited because I get to see him. I just saw him with Pantera and Metallica this summer, but now I get to see him here in Asheville, North Carolina next month. He's playing with Zach Sabbath, so
I am so envious of that, honestly, because yeah, one of my favorite, I would say if I had to put my favorite guitar solos of all time, like one of my top five would be Zach's solo from No More Tears.
mm.
That's my, yeah, hands down one of my absolute favorites. So, um, yeah, he's hard to pass on. So I'll always put Zach up there. But yeah, no, so many good guitarists. But no, if I had to say my absolute favorite guitarist, it would be Herb Himes, my bandmate, because he's just incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
She's Haley Clark, guitarist for NinjaWitch. Talking all things Frequency of Gods here. That new EP is out now. You will love it. Check it out. And be sure to follow NinjaWitch on Instagram, Facebook, and Bandcamp too, and catch them live soon as well. So look for some upcoming tour dates on social media as well. Haley, thank you so much for joining me here on the Metal Queens podcast.
Thank you. It's been awesome. Appreciate you having me.
And I'm Steve Richards, and thanks for watching. And like it, share it, subscribe to it, write a review. I will talk to you again next time.